Hi guys, this video is going to be a little bit different because I have not really made a video like this, but today is my first book related video of the year 2026. If y'all want to check out my other book related videos, I did do like a reading vlog of the Zodiac Academy series. I would say reading is a hobby of mine. I don't read fast enough, or I don't read often enough for me to consistently be a book YouTuber, a booktuber. All the girlies who are out there reading 5 books, 3 books a week, that takes time, it takes props, so props to them. I do read consistently throughout the year, but just not fast because life gets in the way sometimes, is my excuse. I've only been able to read, I do have my notes app. I started using this notes app ever since 2022, where I list all the books I read each year. And I'm pretty sure this year is the least amount of books I read. But I read about 10 books. And I am a physical book kind of girl. So this is all the books I read. So the first book I read, 2026, I finished this book on February 8th, Animal Farm, and I didn't rate it because it didn't feel right to rate such a classic book. I know it's a common book that many schools give students to read, but I think it's no longer an option and it became one of the banned books. I was in school when this was an option, but I just never read it until this year. I don't think I knew what I was getting into when I was reading into it. It's very political, but they do it in a way where kids or young adults or teenagers can read this and understand that it connects to real world problems. I do recommend this book. It's such an interesting perspective because it's based on these animals and different hierarchies and how people can be manipulative and people can exploit their power. When they do it in the perspective of animals, it kind of shows that not everyone is safe, even animals. And it makes sense. It's a classic because it can be read at any time of one's life and be applicable to the world that we're living in right now. Next book that I read, King of Envy. I guess I'm a mood reader, so I guess I was feeling I want a romance book after reading something so political, something so real. So I wanted a little lighthearted romance. To be honest, majority of the books I read, after some time, I don't remember what happened. So this book is the King of Sin series. I remember King of Wrath, which was based on Dante and Vivian. I remember King of Pride, which is based on Kai and Isabel. But then I think I skipped over King of Greed, King of Sloth, and then I now finished reading King of Envy, which is this one. And basically there's the main character guy. He's rich, he keeps to himself, but the main character girl catches his interest. The girl, she's a supermodel and she is engaged to the main character guy's best friend, but turns out it's a marriage of convenience, but the main character guy doesn't know that, and that adds like the push and pull of it all because he doesn't know and he's into her and he thinks she's taken. And he's rich. I love when the main character guy is rich. It adds another element. I gave this book a 4.5, and even though I don't remember exactly what went down in this book, I remember the feelings that I felt, and it was good. I liked it. I liked that the main character girl was engaged to his best friend, and she did it in a way that made it interesting enough for me to keep wanting to read. Yeah, it's just like a good push and pull, cliche type of book. So I would recommend, of course, if I gave it a 4.5. Next book, the third book I read, was The Midnight Library. I follow Stuff Bohr. I don't know if you guys know her, but she used to post a lot of book related videos, but now she's became more of a lifestyle vlogger. But so she would talk about The Midnight Library and it being one of her favorite books of last year, I think. And because I trust her word, I bought the book, and it's basically this main girl is pretty depressed about her life. Nothing's really going on for her. Her love life is not that great. Her job is simple, is not deemed as successful in the society's eyes, and then she ends up being put in this magical, mystical world called the Midnight Library. Huge room full of books, and each book has a different life that she could live. And she gets to try the person she could be in each different book, with a different partner, with a different career, the possibility of her being an Olympian, the possibility of her having a good relationship with her dad. Yeah, things like that. The whole message of this book is that, yeah, you can try so many lives, but the life you're living right now is pretty good too. I rated it a 3.7, so I didn't like it as much as the romance book. But it was a good type of book if you wanted an eye-opener of how one should live their life. The Courage to be Disliked. It took me a hot minute to finish this book. I think I would pick it up, put it back down and then wouldn't open it, and then pick it up again, and then back and forth. This book is a conversation between a philosopher and student is trying to understand the philosopher's way of thinking and how one should live one's life. And the philosopher bases this whole thing on using the theories of Alfred Adler, one of the three giants of the 19th century. So let me read one. The philosopher said, "There is a simple way to tell whose task it is. Think who ultimately is going to receive the result brought about by the choice that is made. When the child has made the choice of not studying, ultimately the result of that decision, not being able to keep up in class or to get into the preferred school, for instance, does not have to be received by the parents. Clearly, it is the child who has to receive it. In other words, studying is a child's task." And then the youth would be like, no, you're completely wrong. The parent who is more experienced in life and also acts as a guardian has a responsibility to urge a child to study so much situations do not arise. And then, so basically, for example, this chapter is talking about how everyone has their own task. I think it's called the separation of task. And in that example, the parent's task is not to push their beliefs and values onto the kid or force them to do anything. Rather, if the kid actually wanted to do it, the kid should do it on their own accord. But that's just one theory based on Alfred Adler. It kind of, to me, when I was reading this, it kind of goes hand in hand about similar practices of what therapists use. It's a different way to think, a different way to frame how you can live your life. I do recommend it, but I feel one needs to be in the mood or open to that idea of expanding your perspective. I do agree with the majority of the stuff that was brought on this book, but it was just hard for me to actually want to continue reading it. But eventually I did finish reading it, and I did not give a rating. I did not give a rating. Next book is Consider Me. I gave this a mid rating of 3. The Playing for Keeps series, the popular hockey romance series, and I love me a good hockey romance book. Consider Me. I don't remember anything that happened in this book. Basically, the main character guy, he's NHL's best player. His name is Carter Beckett. I just remember her being a teacher. She just wants a drama-free life. Once he finds that he's interested in Olivia, he starts pursuing her kind of strongly, and I think that's why I don't remember much about it, because I love a slow burn. I love the build-up of the romance. But Carter, once he saw her, he was already into her, and he did all the things to kind of get her attention. It's just a matter of preference. If you do like when the guy falls fast, and you don't mind the fact that the romance starts from the get-go, then you'll like this book. But for me, personally, I wasn't a fan of it. Even though I wasn't too much of a fan of it, I did decide to continue reading the series, and this is book 2 of Playing for Keeps series, and it's called Play With Me. So the main character guy from the first one, Carter, he has a sister named Jenny, and that's the main character girl in this book. And then the main character guy, Garrett Anderson, in this book is one of the players from the same team as Carter. Garrett, I think he's the goalie, and Jenny, she's a dancer. And this one had a little bit more angst. It's that forbidden romance where Carter doesn't want Jenny to date any of the guys on Carter's team, but yet Garrett likes likes her. Jenny, she ends up living in the same apartment complex as Garrett, and Carter asks Garrett to take care of his sister, but then obviously Garrett does take care of Jenny, but not in the way Carter wants to. I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5. Next book, I have The Silent Patient. This might be my favorite book that I read this year so far. I'm sure you guys know this book, and I'm sure you've seen it everywhere because it was at one point where this book was really trending, really popular, and I just never really picked it up until I had a conversation with my cousin who read this book, and she told me what it was about. And when I finally found out what it was about, I'm like, wait, that sounds interesting. And this book was really a page turner for me. Basically, the main girl, she is put in a psych asylum or like a program for crazy people or people who are going through bad mental health problems. And her name's Alicia, and she was put in there because she supposedly killed her husband. She was a painter, an artist, and her husband was also in the creative field. He was a photographer. No one really knows what happened because she doesn't talk. She's a silent patient. But then the main character guy, he's a criminal psychotherapist. His name is Theo, and he's interested in finding out what is going on with this girl. Like, why isn't she talking? And there is definitely a plot twist. I did not expect it at all. It's good. It's a good book. I totally recommend this one, and I understand why it's popular. I'm kind of sad I didn't read it and sooner when the hype was there. I enjoyed it, and I gave this a 4 out of 5. Next book I have read, The Nightingale. I bought this book a year and a half ago, and I finished it in 2026. I started it a year ago actually too, and I got about 60 pages in, 30 pages in, and I just stopped. I don't think I was in the mood. But then after reading The Silent Patient, I tried again, and I was definitely more in the mood, and I was able to finish this. And even though this is a thick book, I finished it quicker than I finished The Courage to Be Disliked. This is a war-based book, specifically World War II, and it's the perspective of 2 sisters. One of them is known as the Nightingale. Okay, so her name, I'm pretty sure, was Isabel. And then the other sister's name was Vivian. Vivian is more of a rule follower. She tries to be her best to follow the rules, keep to herself, not cause a scene, any drama. She's loyal. Her husband ended up going to the military, and she has a kid that she needs to take care of. And with these trying times, it's kind of hard to provide for her and her kid while also yearning for her husband who's out in the war. Meanwhile, Isabel, she's known as a Nightingale because she ends up helping with the war. She's a very brave girl who is known to be a rule breaker. The 2 sisters connect at one point, and then they drift off and they connect again. And just to see how these 2 girls go about their lives in a time where everything is so unknown and scary. It's intriguing, and I like how it's done through the lives of the girls, because you realize you don't really read about the perspective of the girls in the war a lot. You hear about the guys fighting and their trauma and the deaths, the livelihood, but the girls also suffer too. Yeah, I gave this book a 4 out of 5. A good read. Recommend. Next book is Funny Story. Honestly, it was difficult for me to finish this book because there was not much going on for me to want to keep picking up the book. The only reason why I was able to finish the book because I had to kind of force myself. It's a beach read. It's a simple, romantic beach read. So if you want something lighthearted, something not too crazy, something that's not too drama-filled, then I would recommend the main character girl, Daphne. She was engaged to this guy, Peter. Peter ended up leaving her for his best friend, Petra. And Petra was dating the main character guy, Miles. So it's a square. It's a whole square. So they described the square to be ex-fiance's new fiance's ex. My brain couldn't comprehend that, to be honest. Daphne became roommates with Miles because Daphne was living with Peter, and Peter, because they were no longer together, he kind of kicked her out of the house, and Daphne had nowhere to go, and she ended up living with Miles. And then Miles and Daphne started to catch feelings, and it's their story of how they got together in the midst of all this drama of the ex-fiancés and this whole dating thing. And it also deals with the little personal issues and their own personal internal struggles as well, which was pretty nice, but it wasn't a big part of the book. I would say the big part of the book was their romance and the square. And I would give this a 3. Those are all the books that I read in 2026 so far. I hope you guys got some recommendations out of me. If I had to recommend a book to read, I would definitely say The Silent Patient, The Nightingale, Animal Farm, and then King of Envy. So King of Envy for a romance, Silent Patient for a thriller, Nightingale for war, and Animal Farm for like a political, interesting like type book. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and maybe I'll make more book related videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!